How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
How is Borquette, or however you say it?
I was going to ask you guys. I don't know
Is it
exactly how to pronounce
Borquette?
it.
Anybody know?
I thought it was a G. Is it
It's
Bourget?
a G.
I thought it was
Could be a
Bourget.
silent G, too.
Yeah, I don't know.
How has he elevated their offense?
I'll tell you what, he's impressive to watch on film. He's a really, really good decision maker. The ball comes out of his hands quick. I think teams in Washington, and the two games he really played, Washington and Colorado, you try to blitz him the balls out before you can get to him. He's got a real good understanding of what they're trying to do offensively. He throws a really, really accurate ball. But I think his best strength is his decision making. And he seems like he made all the right decisions the other night. He threw for 435 yards the other night. It was impressive to watch him on film. So, it comes down to our front and our coverage. We got to disrupt the timing because they played with great timing the other night, and that's the thing that you really got to be conscious of is we got to disrupt the timing of the routes, and then we got to generate a pass rush.
Is there anything that changes with their play calling with him versus Emory Jones?
I think they threw a little bit more with him in. Emory's a really good athlete. There's probably a little bit of more designed quarterback run with Emory in there. There was more obviously drop back passes in the Colorado game with him in there. So I think it changes slightly in terms of the play calling. But he's as good, as a decision maker as we've seen at least this year that we'll face. So I think it's going to be all 11 on the defensive side of the ball playing pass defense. But anytime any team throws in a conference game for over 400 yards, then they're doing something right. So that's got our full attention with our defensive guys in terms of getting ready and getting prepared for these guys.
Has the tempo in their offense changed at all? I think I saw some numbers that said they were snapping the ball like 5 seconds quicker their last game compared to the rest.
They have. I mean, they do have. That's one of their weapons in their arsenal, and he seems like he's got a pretty good command of it. So it's just something you have to prepare for. It's not 100%, but yeah, they did run a little bit. It seemed like they ran a little bit more tempo in the Colorado game than they did in previous games.
I was reading that they've changed a little bit on their coverage schemes, a little bit more man coverage. Does that kind of show up on film?
I think this defense started when Herm got there and Marvin Lewis and Donnie Henderson's been around for a long time. One of the really, really smart football minds out there, and I think they're running a lot of NFL style coverages. So sometimes it may be zone that looks like man. So maybe there's that. When people are breaking it down to the naked eye, you're going to say, hey, that's man coverage, but it's actually zone principles in man coverage. They don't really let guys run free. They've done a really good job from that standpoint. I think the numbers, we break down every game, so I think there is a fair amount of man in there. I couldn't tell you if the numbers are up,
Right.
But it's similar to what they've done there since Herm and Marvin have been there.
With the 7:30 games kind of limiting player exposure, is there anything that the schools can do or maybe the players can do to generate that exposure?
No, I think the issue is, and I actually worked at ESPN for a year, but when the clock strikes midnight on Saturday night, it turns into the NFL. So when you turn on TV Sunday morning, they're not showing highlights of the games the day before. The ability to get your games on highlights is to play earlier games during the day, and then you can continue to see them throughout the day on Saturday. But once it gets to Sunday is the NFL day. So that's kind of where I think and I don't know if people understood what I was saying about that, is that if you play late at night, no one really gets to see you play because those highlights aren't generated anymore. We can generate them on our website, but that doesn't get out to the masses. It's like David Shaw had mentioned to me, Christian McCaffrey in the year that he broke Barry Sanders' all-purpose record by a ton. They played 8 of their 12 games after 10:30 on the East Coast. He didn't win the Heisman Trophy. Is that one of the reasons? It probably could be, and that's what I mean about the exposure to the rest of the country. So that's just the nature of if you play late games on the West Coast, whether you're in the Pac-12 or whether you're in the Mountain West. I mentioned Jake Haener the other day. I think he's as good a quarterback as I've seen. I don't know if the rest of the country has seen Jake Haener because of the time slots that they're in also. That's part of the exposure part. So. Rand, gonna